Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and this praying mantis is the current pattern in the Funny Faces Quilt Block of the Month Club. It's releasing today, and when I say current, it is May 1st, 2022, and this pattern is going to be exclusive to the club through the month of May, and then it'll be available in the shop at shinyhappyworld.com sometime in late June. Here's how to make it. Okay, I've got my light box on. I've got my placement guide face up on the light box. I've got my silicone sheet laid over that, and I have all my pieces cut out and ready to go. So we're going to start with number 1, which is this skinny little antenna. If I can peel the back off there. And that goes there. Number 2 is the other antenna. There we go. My printer cut off just a little sliver on the sides there, but you can totally still use this. Unfortunately, every printer has a slightly different print area, so that can happen. So number 3 is this arm, part of the arm that's coming out from behind the body. Then we're going to continue building this top arm with number 4. And these pieces just, you can make them overlap a little bit if you want to, but they really just kind of bump up against each other. Whether they overlap for you kind of depends on whether you cut outside the outlines or inside the lines. I made mine overlap just a smidge. And then number 5 is the little claw piece. And again, my printer shaved off just a hair on the side, but there's still plenty there to show me what goes where. All right, now number 6 is the body, because this arm is coming out from the back side of the mantis. So we built that arm first, and then we're going to cover it up with this one. There we go. Try not to move my arm there. And now we're going to do the arm that is on the front of the body. So we've got piece number 7. And ignore the little chalk lines and things that you see on some of these pieces. I'm going to use the same pieces to demonstrate how you can put this together without a light box. Although now that I've discovered the amazing tool that a light box is, I will never go back. I just love how easy it makes it to place pieces exactly. And then one more. All right, so now we've got those insect arms. So now we're up to number 10, and that is the head. So this sits down over the antenna and over the body. There we go. Oops. And now 11 is this eye. Now, I've got the eye marking drawn on there, but obviously this is just a round circle. So if I didn't have that, I could put it anywhere in there. And you won't have that on yours because you're using a light box. And then number 12, and then we've got 2 eyes. And it really doesn't matter which one goes where. They are the same. I'm having a hard time peeling that off today. Let's try it at this end. Sometimes this happens if you overheat the fusible, which I may have done. Yep, I did. I overheated that fusible. So I'm going to have to cut a new eye, but for our purposes, let's pretend that that came off just fine. And if I overheated one, I probably overheated the other because I fused them at the same time. But that one came off okay. So one thing to point out is if you don't have the eyes marked, the placement of the pupils, you really could play around with this. You could have him looking up in that direction. You could make him looking off to the side as if there's something in the next block. So you really can play around a lot with the placement of those pupils and have fun with that. So that is all ready to fuse. Now I'm going to just lift this silicone sheet off, take it to my ironing board and press it right onto the silicone sheet. And that will make it kind of stick to it, but then it will peel right off. I'm going to have to peel it pretty carefully because some of these pieces, actually I'm realizing now I should have made these overlap just a smidge so it would have something to hold them together when I pull off the fusible. So that is something to keep in mind. So now everything will stick together. I've got just little bits of overlap to help hold it together. So I'm going to peel that off very, very carefully under those small joins, but then I will be left with essentially one large iron-on patch that I can lay down onto my quilt block and then fuse it in place, do all of the outline, and then I'll bring it back and I will show you the finished block. All right, here's the praying mantis. He is all finished. I've done all of the outline stitching and he is ready for me to trim the block and sew it together with the rest of them. If I forget to mention the fabric, people always ask. So the fabrics, the green on the praying mantis is from the Farmer's Market fabric bundle. And this kind of rusty orange is from the Animal Kingdom color palette of the blocks. It's actually got the quilting lines printed right on the block, so that makes it super, super easy to do. But I have some other color options as well. So another green praying mantis. This guy I did in a much, much brighter green. I'm working on a collection of blocks that use the Gemstones color palette, both for the blenders for the animal and also for the background block. So this is Gemstones for both of them, and all of the blocks in the quilt are going to use their complement. So whatever I used for the animal, I've chosen from the complementary color for the background block. So these are really gonna pop on those backgrounds and it's gonna be a very bright and colorful quilt. I also have another more realistic praying mantis. So like that first green one that was a much more realistic looking green, this one is praying mantises are often black or often brown as well, and they blend in really well with the leaf litter on the bottom of the forest. So this guy I did in various shades of brown, also from the Animal Kingdom color palette, the Animal Kingdom blenders, and then his background block is also from the Gemstones collection. So this is the dark emerald, so that's from the dark Gemstones quilt blocks. So again, this is one of the ones that's a solid and it's just got the lines, the quilting lines printed on it. And I have one more super fun color version. So when I was researching the praying mantis, I found out that there are also things called orchid mantises that really look like an orchid. They are mostly pink, although there are some other colors in there, some lavenders and some kind of peachy oranges and some yellows, but mostly pink. And they often have like little freckles on them like an orchid has, but not always. They can look very different. But I decided to do a pink praying mantis, be inspired by the orchid mantises out there. So this one uses the Farmer's Market blenders for the mantis and also for her antenna. And the background block, this is the only one. All of these others are the blocks that are printed with the quilting lines. This one is another blender print, and it is from I've got a collection of all greens and another collection of all blues from the Farmer's Market bundles, from the Farmer's Market palette. But this is a quilt that I'm just now getting started that's going to all be animals on dappily green, kind of realistic green backgrounds. So that is 4 versions of the Praying Mantis block. Again, it is exclusive to the Funny Faces Quilt Block of the Month Club for the month of May 2022, and it'll be in the shop at shinyhappyworld.com sometime late in June for people who are watching this video years later or for people who aren't in the club. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World. I'll see you next month.